Funny thing about getting older. When you're young, you think growing old means slowing down, losing your spark, maybe even becoming invisible to the world. But then you reach a certain age and you realize something remarkable. You're still here. And if you're lucky, you're not just existing, you're still living. Now let's be real. Aging comes with its share of aches and annoyances. The mirror shows you someone a little different from who you remember. The body isn't as quick to recover. People start calling you sir or ma'am a little too often. But listen, if you've made it to 70 and you can still do these 6 things, let me tell you something. You're winning at life. You might not realize it, but you've already beaten the odds in ways that truly matter. So, let's start with the first one. And pay attention, because this isn't about whether you've got money in the bank or a big house. It's not about status or achievements. It's about the things that actually make life worth living. The first sign you're winning at life at 70? You can still find joy in the little things. Seems simple, doesn't it? But you'd be surprised how many people lose this ability as they age. Some get bitter, some get tired, and some get too caught up in regret. They stop noticing the beauty of a morning breeze, the pleasure of a warm cup of coffee, the sound of laughter from a grandchild or an old friend. They stop being present. And once you stop being present, you start fading, long before your time. But if you can still wake up and feel a little excitement about your day, if you can still appreciate the way the sunlight filters through your window, if you still get a kick out of a funny story, then you, my friend, are ahead of the game. Because here's the truth. Life isn't made up of big grand moments. It's not the awards, the money, or the milestones that define happiness. It's the ordinary, everyday things that most people take for granted. The small joys, the ones that don't cost a thing. Maybe it's the simple pleasure of stretching in the morning and feeling your body still moving, still working. Maybe it's the way the first sip of coffee warms you up, or how a song you haven't heard in years can bring back a flood of memories. Maybe it's the way a dog wags its tail at you, or the comfort of an old broken-in chair. If you still have the eyes to see these moments, the heart to feel them, and the presence of mind to appreciate them, then you haven't lost the most important thing life has to offer. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. What if I don't feel that joy anymore? Well, let me tell you something. Joy isn't something that just happens to you. It's something you cultivate. Somewhere along the way, a lot of people stop looking for joy. They let the past weigh them down. They let worries about the future steal their peace. They stop noticing the present. And the present? That's all we ever really have. If you've forgotten how to enjoy the little things, you don't have to stay stuck. You can find your way back. And it starts with one simple practice: gratitude. At 70, if you wake up and you don't have pain in every joint, be grateful. If you do have pain, but you can still walk, be grateful. If you can still hear the birds outside your window, still taste your favorite meal, still read the words I'm saying right now, be grateful. You see, gratitude and joy go hand in hand. One feeds the other. The more you acknowledge what you have, the more you start to see how much life is still offering you. And let me tell you, life never stops offering something, even on the hardest days. I'll give you a little test. Right now, think of one thing in your life, no matter how small, that brings you even a flicker of joy. Maybe it's a person, maybe it's a memory, maybe it's just the sound of rain outside your window. Hold on to that feeling. That feeling? That's you winning. Because no matter what you've lost along the way, youth, loved ones, dreams you had once upon a time, if you still have the capacity to feel joy, you're richer than most. So, before you go chasing after what you don't have, take a second to appreciate what's still here. Look around you. The small things, they're not so small. And if you've still got the ability to find joy in them, you're ahead of the game. Let me tell you something. A life well lived is not measured in years, but in the people who walk through those years with you. If you've made it to 70 and you still have meaningful relationships, friends, family, people who check on you, people who laugh with you, people who remember you, then you are winning in a way that no amount of money or status can ever replace. You see, loneliness is one of the biggest thieves of joy in old age. It sneaks up on people. Sometimes it happens because loved ones move away. Sometimes it's because life just gets in the way, and one day you look around, and the room is a little quieter than it used to be. But here's what I want you to understand. Connection is something you must protect. If you're 70 and you still have friends to call, family to share stories with, a neighbor to sit and chat with, or even just one person who truly knows you, then you're richer than you realize. Because here's what they don't tell you when you're young. The people in your life will always matter more than the things you have. Think about it. What's the best meal you've ever had? I guarantee you, it wasn't just about the food. It was about who you shared it with. The best laughs, the best memories, the moments that made you feel truly alive. They didn't happen alone. They happened with someone. Now, I know that for some of you, this might be a little painful to hear. Maybe you've lost people. Maybe some relationships have faded. Maybe there are empty chairs at your table that didn't used to be empty. That's the hard part of growing older. But listen closely. It's never too late to connect. People think that making friends is for the young, that if you don't have close relationships by now, then you're out of luck. That couldn't be further from the truth. The truth is, connection is always within reach, if you're willing to reach for it. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you picked up the phone just to say hello to someone? Not because you needed something, not because there was an occasion, just because. When was the last time you sat down with someone and really listened? Not to respond, not to argue, not to prove a point, just to hear them. When was the last time you made a new friend? Now, I know what you might be thinking. At my age, making new friends? Yes, exactly at your age. You see, friendships don't stop forming just because we get older. In fact, they become even more important. Maybe it's the neighbor you always wave at, but never really talk to. Maybe it's someone from your past you lost touch with. Maybe it's someone you meet in the most unexpected way. The point is, stay open. Because here's the secret. If you want to keep people in your life, you have to put in the effort. It's easy to sit back and say, well, no one calls me. But ask yourself, when was the last time you called someone? It's easy to say, people don't visit like they used to. But ask yourself, when was the last time you invited someone? See, connection is a two-way street. And if you want to have love and friendship in your life at 70, 80, 90, you have to be the one who keeps the door open. I'll tell you something that I've learned over the years. No one is ever too busy for the people who truly matter to them. People make time for what's important. And if you make an effort to stay connected, you'll see just how much life still has to offer. Now, I know that some of you have been hurt. I know that relationships don't always go the way we want them to. Some of you might be carrying old wounds, people who let you down, friendships that ended, family members who drifted away. But listen to me closely. Forgiveness is a gift you give yourself. You don't have to hold on to old grudges. You don't have to carry the weight of things you can't change. If there's someone in your life that you miss, reach out. If there's someone you need to forgive, do it. Not for them, but for you. Because at the end of the day, when you look back on your life, the moments that will mean the most won't be the ones where you were right in an argument. They won't be the moments where you held on to resentment. The moments that will matter will be the ones where you chose love over pride, connection over distance, and kindness over bitterness. So if you're 70 and you still have people to call, people to share your days with, people who know you, love you, and care about you, you, my friend, are winning at life. And if you don't, Well, then today is a good day to start, because it's never too late. Next, we'll talk about another sign that you're truly living well at 70. And this one, it's about your mind. Because let me tell you, staying young isn't about your body. It's about something much more powerful than that. But we'll get to that soon. For now, take a moment. Think of someone you care about, someone who brings warmth to your life. And if you can, reach out to them. Let them know they matter. Because at the end of the day, life is measured in the love we give and receive. You ever meet someone who seems old before their time? Not because of wrinkles, not because of gray hair, but because they've stopped thinking, stopped learning, stopped being curious. And then you meet someone in their 70s, 80s, 90s who still has that spark, still engaged with life, still interested, still asking questions, still growing. That's the difference between getting old and staying alive. If you're 70 and you're still learning, still using your mind, still challenging yourself, then let me tell you something. You're winning at life. Because here's the hard truth. Too many people let their minds fade before their bodies ever do. They stop reading. They stop thinking deeply. They stop questioning things. They stop being curious. They settle into routines, repeat the same conversations, live the same day over and over again until life becomes small. But listen closely. Your mind is like a muscle. You use it or you lose it. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. I'm not in school anymore. I've lived my life. What else is there to learn? And my answer? Everything. Life never runs out of things to teach you. Maybe it's history, because the older you get, the more you realize how much history repeats itself. Maybe it's technology, because whether you like it or not, the world is moving forward, and staying sharp means keeping up. Maybe it's new skills, new ideas, new ways of looking at the world. You don't need a classroom to learn. You just need curiosity. You see, when you stop challenging your mind, you stop truly living. It happens so subtly. One day, you put down a book and never pick another one up. One day, you stop asking questions, stop keeping up with what's happening in the world. And before you know it, you're stuck in the past. And listen, there's nothing wrong with remembering the past. But if all you do is look backward, you miss the life that's still happening right in front of you. If you want to stay sharp, stay young, stay engaged, you have to make an effort. You have to read, think, ask questions. You have to challenge your opinions, open your mind, learn things you never thought you'd learn at this stage in life. Because once you stop learning, you stop growing. And once you stop growing, you start fading. Now, let's talk about memory, because I know that's a concern for a lot of people. I forget things more than I used to. I walk into a room and forget why I'm there. I can't remember names like I used to. Guess what? That happens to everyone, even young people. But here's the thing. Your brain needs exercise just like your body does. If you sit around all day and don't move, what happens? Your muscles weaken. You get stiff. You slow down. Your brain works the same way. If you don't use it, challenge it, stretch it, it starts to slow down. It starts to get lazy. But if you keep it engaged, if you keep reading, writing, learning, playing games that make you think, staying engaged in conversations that make you reflect, you're giving your mind exactly what it needs to stay strong. And here's the beautiful thing. You don't need to be a genius to do this. You don't need to go back to school or study for hours a day. You just need to stay curious. If you're still reading, still thinking, still asking questions, you are ahead of the game. And let's talk about something even deeper. Wisdom. Because wisdom is different from knowledge. Knowledge is about facts. Wisdom is about understanding. And let me tell you something. The world needs more wise people. At 70, you have something that younger people don't. You have perspective. You've seen life unfold. You've watched people make mistakes. You've made your own. You've seen what matters and what doesn't. And you know what? That wisdom, it's meant to be shared. If you're 70 and you still take the time to listen to younger people, guide them, share what you've learned, then you're winning. Because wisdom is only valuable if you pass it on. Think about the things you wish you knew when you were younger. Think about the advice you would give to your younger self. Now ask yourself, who in your life needs to hear that right now? Because one of the greatest things about getting older is that you become the person you once needed. And that's a gift. So let me ask you something. When was the last time you learned something new? When was the last time you challenged your own thinking? When was the last time you had a conversation that made you see something in a different light? If you can still think deeply, still learn, still question, still share your wisdom, then you are ahead of the game. Because at the end of the day, age is just a number. It's the mind that determines how young or old you really are. Soon we'll talk about the fourth sign that you're winning at life at 70. And this one? It's about something even more powerful than the mind. It's about resilience. Let me tell you something about resilience. It's not about never struggling. It's not about never falling. It's about getting back up every single time. And if you're 70 and still standing, still pushing through, still here, then my friend, you are winning in ways that most people will never understand. Because life, it's not easy. It never has been, and it never will be. You don't make it to 70 without seeing some storms. You don't get this far without carrying some scars. You've lost people you loved. You've faced hardships you never thought you'd survive. You've had moments where you thought, how am I going to get through this? But you did. And that's what winning looks like. See, when we're young, we think strength is about being tough, about being unshaken, unbothered. But real strength? It's not about never breaking. It's about knowing you can put yourself back together. Think about everything you've overcome. Maybe you lost a parent too soon. Maybe you had to start over when you thought you had life figured out. Maybe you fought battles that no one ever saw. Battles of the heart, battles of the mind. But here you are. You survived every hard day you ever thought would break you. And that means one thing: you're a fighter. Not in the loud, flashy way that the world recognizes, but in the quiet way that really matters. And listen, resilience isn't just about surviving. It's about adapting. Because life never stops changing. And if you're 70 and you can still roll with the punches, still adjust, still make the best of what you've got, then you're ahead of the game. You see, a lot of people get stuck in the past. They get bitter about how things used to be, how the world has changed, how nothing is the same anymore. But the world has always been changing, and the people who stay young in spirit, the ones who accept that change and move with it. Maybe you had to learn new technology even when you didn't want to. Maybe you had to adjust to losing people who were once your entire world. Maybe you had to find new routines, new ways of doing things, new ways of seeing life. And if you've done that, if you've adapted, then you're stronger than most. You see, there's no such thing as going back. Life only moves forward, and you've kept moving with it. And that, my friend, is resilience. Now, I want to talk about something that might be difficult. I want to talk about loss. Because by the time you reach 70, you've lost people. There are people who should still be here but aren't. People you loved, people you laughed with, people who made your world brighter. And there's a part of you that still misses them. That's the price of living a long life. You carry the weight of those who didn't get to. And some days, that weight feels heavy. But listen, they would want you to keep living. They would want you to keep laughing, keep finding joy, keep moving forward. Because life isn't just about the years we get. It's about what we do with those years. So if you're 70 and you're still here, then don't just exist. Live. Live for the ones who didn't get to. Live for the days you still have left. Live in a way that makes your life mean something. Because if you're still here, there's a reason for it. Now, let's talk about something else. Courage. Because let me tell you something. It takes courage to grow old. It takes courage to wake up every morning and keep going, knowing that time is moving forward. It takes courage to keep finding meaning in life, even when things change, even when you lose people, even when life looks different than it once did. And if you're 70 and you still have the courage to get up, to keep moving, to keep trying, then you are winning at life in the most important way possible. Because here's the truth. Life isn't about staying the same. It's about embracing what is, while still making the most of what you have. And that's something young people don't fully understand yet. Because youth isn't about how many years you've lived. It's about how much life you still put into your years. And if you can still do that, if you can still get up every morning and choose to live, choose to keep going, choose to see what's next, then let me tell you something. You're winning. You see, winning at life isn't about having the most money. It isn't about never making mistakes. It isn't about avoiding pain or hardships. Winning at life is about getting up, no matter how many times life knocks you down. It's about choosing to live, even when it's easier to give up. It's about staying open, staying curious, staying connected. It's about finding joy, embracing change, and passing on your wisdom. And if you're 70 and you can still do all that, then my friend, you are not just surviving, you are thriving. So don't let anyone tell you that your best days are behind you. Because as long as you're still here, as long as you still have air in your lungs and life in your bones, there is still more to do, more to see, more to learn, and more to give. You are not done yet. And if you can still find joy, stay connected, keep your mind sharp, and face life with resilience, then you are winning at life in every way that truly matters. And that is a life well lived.